things, I am the wrestling fan. I may not be the best wrestling fan. I can't say I'm the finest because this video is here to celebrate one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I'd say top 5, but honestly he's probably top 3. The other 2 would be CM Punk and Bret Hart. So yeah, he's top 3. That's a thought that just struck me. I wasn't planning on recording a video. You can probably tell that I'm sick. I've actually been sick with a really bad flu for a couple weeks. So I wasn't planning on making a video, and then last night on Monday Night Raw, Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, if you were a fan of his independent work like I was and am, announced that he had to officially retire from professional wrestling. And it's a bummer. It is a bummer. He's only 34, 32, 33. I mean, he's early 30s. He really was in the prime of his career. He was hitting a peak. He became one of the most popular wrestlers in WWE history. Of all people, Daniel Bryan. He main evented WrestleMania 30, wrestled in the opening match to defeat Triple H, and then defeated Randy Orton and Batista in a triple threat match to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And then a month after that, or a couple months after that, had to relinquish the title, and then came back, was in the Royal Rumble, wrestled Roman Reigns in a big match, won the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania, and then had to forfeit that last year. And for almost a year, fans have been speculating on what's been going on with Daniel Bryan. Is WWE holding him back from performing? Do they really care about his concussion history, or conspiracy theorists? And honestly, even I started to kind of believe it a little bit, because I'm like, they need Daniel Bryan. Why won't they let him come back? And we found out why they wouldn't let him come back. WWE's main doctor wouldn't clear him, even though others did. But then Daniel Bryan had some tests before the Royal Rumble a few weeks ago, and found out that he's not as healthy as he thought, or others thought. And it's sad. I've never met the man. I hope I do get to meet him someday. And get his autograph, shake his hand, get a picture, the usual fan service, and just tell him how much, he meant to me, and, and thousands, millions of other wrestling fans. Daniel Bryan he didn't die, he's just retired, but he had such a brilliant independent wrestling career, like one of the greatest of all time, and was one of the main reasons why I got into watching independent wrestling with Pro Wrestling Guerrilla and Ring of Honor, especially Ring of Honor. I saw a few Bryan Danielson matches, and I couldn't believe that a guy was so technically proficient. The likes of a Bret Hart or a Chris Benoit or a Dean Malenko or Eddie Guerrero. This Bryan Danielson kid, he's not even 6 foot tall, but he wrestles like he's, the biggest guy in the room. And sorry, like I said, still sick. And I'll go ahead and say, I didn't write a script for this. I'm just going to talk, put this video together, and put it up tonight, because I want to celebrate one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. But he was a big reason why, I've got all of his 3 Ring of Honor DVD collections that I haven't watched every match in all of them, but I think I'm going to now. I've watched all the Pro Wrestling Guerrilla matches I have of his, and of course WWE. I like to watch some of his Japan matches and other independent matches, but some stuff is harder to find than others. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. I'm sad because I was really hoping he was going to be able to come back, and it's sad that he was in the prime of his career and it was cut short. And it's not fair because he finally reached that place that even wrestlers who were supposed to make it don't make. And he made it there, and he never really got a chance to revel in that for a couple years. You know, he would just keep getting these injuries. But, you know, I mean, wrestling's been a big part of his life for 15, 16 years, and, you know, like he said, he's got a family to worry about, his wife. They're gonna try and start making babies, as he talked about on Raw. And I hope they do. I hope they have a fantastic life together, because there's more to life than a career. There's more to life than wrestling. But the reason why I want to do this video, I was thinking last night, like, what can I do? Can I do a top 5 favorite Daniel Bryan matches? But that's too hard. There's 5 matches in WWE at least that I love of his. You know, and I was even going to do like a top 5 WWE, Ring of Honor, and PWG matches, but I don't have the time for that, and I wanted to get this up quickly while everyone was talking about Daniel Bryan, because I wanted to get my feelings out about him. And I thought, similar to the Eddie Guerrero memory video I did a few months ago, I thought of, what is my favorite Daniel Bryan memory? You know, was it any of his fantastic Ring of Honor matches, his Ring of Honor title run, his matches in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, in Japan, in WWE, you know, him beating him beating John Cena at SummerSlam 2013 in the main event in a spectacular match, his series of matches with CM Punk in 2012, when he beat The Miz for the U.S. title, teaming with Kane with Hell No, when he debuted with the Nexus and then got fired and then came back. He's had so many great matches and moments. But a moment that is my favorite, it's a selfish moment, because none of you were probably even going to remember it, but I got to see it live. I unfortunately will never get to see Daniel Bryan wrestle live. That's unfortunate, you know. But it's just, you know, how the dice were rolled. I got to go to a Raw when it came to Indianapolis, Indiana, because I live in Indiana, November 24th, 2014, about a year and a half ago. I went with some friends, and Daniel Bryan was still out. He wouldn't come back for a little while, for like a month or so, I think. But I didn't care. I wore my Daniel Bryan shirt, and it wasn't this one. It was the WWE Yes, Yes, Yes one. And for some reason, I can't find it. I was going to wear that shirt, so unfortunately, either I lost it, or it was taken, or something, but at least I do still have this shirt. I'd be mad if I didn't have at least one Daniel Bryan shirt. But I wore my my Daniel Bryan Yes, Yes, Yes shirt just to show my support. And I didn't look up any spoilers for Raw. Like, I didn't try to find out who was coming, who was going to be there. I wanted to be surprised by everything, when usually I kind of look up some stuff. Now, I mean, Raw is live, so it can't really be spoiled, but I didn't want to know anything going into it. And it was the night after Survivor Series, when the Authority were taken out of action from that fantastic Survivor Series elimination match, and Sting debuted. So we were excited, like, this could be a really big Raw. And it was a good Raw for what it was. And all of a sudden, you know, the Authority came out. I don't remember who came out first, but then all of a sudden you hear that music, dun 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 dun, and Daniel Bryan comes out, and that place exploded. I mean, I exploded out of my seat. My friends exploded out of their seats. We had no idea, and I finally got to be a part of a live audience doing the yes. That's all I wanted. You know, I wanted to see him wrestle. He didn't wrestle that night. He played the role of general manager on Raw and then SmackDown the next night, or whatever they taped. But I never got to be a part of the whole yes, the yes era, the yes movement in the crowd doing the yes, yes, yes. And I finally got to be a part of it, and I yesed until my voice came out. Kind of like it's going out now because I'm sick. And it was my favorite moment in pro wrestling so far, because it's hard to describe. Daniel Bryan meant a lot to the fans, and means a lot to the fans, because he's the underdog. He reminds us of ourselves, because he's not the biggest. He's not what WWE was looking for. He's not the stereotypical great-looking guy, for wrestling, and he's still... Raws were freaking hijacked to celebrate this man, and not just in Washington, like during the title, he talked about on Raw with John Cena and Randy Orton. It was December 2013. They were in Washington, and his fans, the crowd, his hometown, hijacked that Raw. It wasn't just in Washington, it was everywhere. They wanted Daniel Bryan, and I did too, and I was getting pissed off that I wasn't getting him. And I still don't think WWE used him the best way they could, but at the same time, they finally gave him a chance. He got injured. It sucks. It's just the cards that were played. But to be in that crowd, yesing, and to hear him talk, and just to see him live, was something I will never forget. It was my favorite moment in pro wrestling, because I got to see, one of my favorite pro wrestlers of all time right there in front of me. I got to do the yes and just be happy, that I got to see him and be a part of that. I know it's weird for a 30-year-old man, and I'm not going to cry. I don't know the man, I teared up quite a bit when I watched it last night, and I teared up rewatching it before shooting this video, because he gave a very eloquent speech and talked about, he's so humble and he's so appreciative of fans and WWE and everything else, but he talked about, God, I can't even remember the damn word, but he's so well respected by the fans and the locker room. I respect the man so much. He's had so many great matches, you can't even count them, not just in WWE, but now that he's retired, I immediately thought back to November 24th, 2014. I think that was the last WWE event I've been to, and to be surprised, like I was 5 years old again. It was like Christmas morning, and I was surprised that my favorite wrestler in WWE at the time, and one of my favorites of all time, Daniel Bryan, was going to be there. And I reacted like a kid at Christmas, getting a new game system or something. It still puts a smile on my face. And, like me and my friends were on the network. You can see us in the audience, and I'll show that here. Maybe kind of blurry, I don't know, because I'm taking screenshots, but, that's us. And it was a night I'll never forget, and my favorite night as a wrestling fan. But not even that. He's given me and the fans so many moments to cherish and remember, and he'll definitely go in the Hall of Fame someday. Maybe not this year. He may want to hold off, but if he does go in this year, great. He deserves it. And he did something, and here's the thing I wanted to say before I end this video. That's my Daniel Bryan memory. That's my favorite Daniel Bryan memory. It's a selfish one, but it's my favorite one. I'll never forget that night. I wish I could bottle it up and just kind of, relive it, especially now. But, I guess with the network I kind of can. So that's pretty cool. But Daniel Bryan paved the way. All the crap that's happening in WWE, AJ Styles coming in, Finn Balor, even guys like Samoa Joe, not just small wrestlers, but indie wrestlers. Daniel Bryan, and yes, guys like CM Punk, but Daniel Bryan, to me especially, paved the way for guys like that. NXT and stuff like that, I think that's all because of, not all, but a lot to do with guys like Daniel Bryan, because they saw that they have these fan followings, rapid fan followings, and are just loved, and people want to see them wrestle because they're so good. And Daniel Bryan really turned into a good talker too, and a good actor. And he was a part of some of the best storylines. Him versus the Authority was fantastic. Him and John Cena was fantastic. Him and Punk were fantastic. Him and Sheamus, just all this great stuff. Him and Miz, just him and Kane, just all this great stuff over the years. And that's just WWE. You know, his matches with Austin Aries in Ring of Honor, Samoa Joe, CM Punk, El Generico, Kevin Steen, just Kenta, all these, just so many people. He had great matches with everybody. Dolph Ziggler, he had great matches with in WWE. Just, I'm going to miss him because every time I saw him, I knew I was going to get my money's worth and get an exciting wrestling match. And it felt like he was breaking down walls, being in the main event of SummerSlam, the first and last match at a WrestleMania. He broke down these barriers for guys like Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, AJ Styles, all these guys. He helped with that. And he should be commended for that tremendously. And I thank him for that because that's the kind of wrestling that I want to see, especially in WWE. And they've changed the way they've done things. And I think he's a big part of that. So Daniel Bryan, before this video goes on too long, you'll never see this, but if you ever would, thank you. I will always be one of your biggest fans. I will always love your work. And I'll try to make sure that as long as I'm the wrestling fan, other fans don't forget you. And they won't, regardless if I'm around or not. But I am definitely going to binge watch a lot of your stuff. And I don't need a reminder of how great you are and were, but I could definitely use a little bit of Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson magic right now to help with the pain of you no longer being able to do what you love. And that's the most tragic part of all, but I think he's going to be just fine. Thank you very much for everything that you did. I will always be a fan and a member of the Yes movement and remember the Yes era very fondly. And I'll remember that night in Indianapolis in 2014 for the rest of my life. And hopefully one day I get to see you and maybe tell you all this in person. So, I'm the wrestling fan. Go watch a lot of his matches, if you haven't already. Should you do that? Screw it. Yes! 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 Yes!